A really common question I get, whether it's in my community or it's in LinkedIn, is how do I actually price my automations? And I get it, as a newbie, if you've never worked anything like this before, you will be confused because you don't want to price too high and scare anyone off, but you also don't want to end up undercharging and working for absolute pennies. So you're stuck in that sort of middle ground. So in this video, I'm going to try break it all down for you. What your mindset should be when it comes to pricing and how to think about it. What I personally saw automations sold for within the corporate world, the automations I sell now and what I charge for them, and how you can actually confidently price your automations even if you're just starting out. So if you are new here and you don't know too much about me, I used to work for managed service providers. What these do, they have a whole portfolio of tech, I suppose, and they sell these services as a one-off for like the build and the engineer time, and then it would be a monthly support package to basically manage it and support it and maintain it going forward for the client. And it wouldn't be like a set amount for a automation or a service or a product or whatever it was. It would be days work. So the day for the technical person, the engineer, the software architect, whoever it was, they'd estimate how long it would actually take them to build this automation or this service, this product. Now, within the automation space, they were charging £1,250, which is probably near enough $2,000, $1,750 per day. So that means, say, an engineer, an architect, estimated that the project would take 30 days. That's almost £40,000 for an automation. And these could be really simple. These could just be a report generator, something that generates a report. They input a load of documents or a load of work or whatever they want the report on, and it would output and generate a whole report that would normally take a few weeks to write up. Now, if I told you that, you'd probably think you'd sell that for a couple grand. I sold that for upwards of 30 grand. We spent 3 days going into this. They were a social care, and we spent 3 days going into their business, learning everything exactly how they wanted to do it, and that was chargeable. So even just those 3 days, and we hadn't even started building an automation, had cost them £4,250, and we hadn't even started building it, right? Now that should give you a perspective of how much these automations cost within the corporate world. And these are mid to large, mid-size to large-size companies. And they happily paid because of the outcomes. The automation would either save them time, it would save them money, it would make them money in the long run, or just really made them more efficient. So if you're sat there thinking that £5,000 or $5,000 sounds expensive for an automation in the real world, that's actually cheap. So those were the sort of prices that I was charging when I first came into starting my own business. And I think it's sort of ruined it a bit with all these people on YouTube who have really no clue about the corporate world or how much automations are actually sold for to businesses elsewhere and are really underpricing themselves. And that's a big issue for the automation agency space as a whole. And I've sort of fallen into that trap. I've had to really lower my prices because I'm competing with other people out there that are charging pennies when they should be charging quite a lot more. So what do I charge and why? Well, you've already probably seen a live sales call on my channel where I've sold something for £3,500, and that's a lead generation system. That particular video was actually recorded about 6 weeks ago, and the guy's had it. I've sold it to him. He made the money back within a matter of weeks, in fact before 30 days. And that just goes to show how amazing, one, the system is, but two, also how much I undersold that, because I sold that for £3,500. It could have gone up for a lot more. I have sold it for a lot more, but most clients tend to make their money back within 30 days. And that's why this system becomes so easy to sell, because I can say that so confidently to the client on the call. And if you have been following me and you know me, you understand that I mainly reach out with one main core offering, which is a lead generation service, lead generation system. Now, I only really sell this in between £3,500 at a minimum to 8, 9, 10 grand I've sold it for. But obviously it's not just, I don't just throw a number at them. It is very dependent on, one, the complexity of the build, how much revenue and return on investment I've actually calculated with them beforehand on a discovery call, how much customization the front end app actually needs, and how quickly they actually want it done and implemented into their business. If it's something really strategic, which integrates with all their apps already, their CRM, if it's almost completely autonomous, if there's a VAPI voice calling agent in there, if there's a chatbot that replies to the leads, if there's literally a whole cold sales funnel, then I've sold that for nearly 20K. A really complex build that took me a lot of time. I had a lot of meetings with them to get it perfect. And a lot of you are probably sitting there thinking, that is bollocks. And there's things I can't say because it will definitely get me in trouble with my old place of work, which I can't say on YouTube. But trust me, it's very real, it's very doable. And that's what really helped me scale at the start, was because I had, let's say, a network of businesses that were all ready to buy these automations. But I'll say no more before I get in trouble. But this is the thing. Obviously, when I was working for this managed service provider, the companies were theoretically paying for the time of the engineer to actually build the systems. But in the client's mind, what they're paying for isn't the time that it takes to build or the speciality. They're paying for the outcome, the result, the return on investment, the impact that it's going to have on their business. So think of it this way. If your automation saves them 10 grand a month, or at least it generates 10 grand a month in revenue, a 5K automation is an absolute no-brainer. Or even if it saves them 20 hours a week, work that out over the month, a 5K automation again is an absolute no-brainer. Now, if you're just starting, you're probably thinking, I'm not worth 5 grand yet. So here's what to do. Start between 1 to 2K for your first couple projects. That's all it needs to be, your first 1 or 2. Focus on really nailing the outcome, really nailing your sales calls, really nailing the delivery, because that can be a tough thing in this world. Make sure it really works, make sure the client's really happy, and make sure the client gets real value from it. Then once you have those proof of results, you can raise your prices in line with the results. I'm not saying just go out there and think of an automation, get on a call, someone's interested, and just throw a number at them. I'm not saying that at all. If you are unsure, then just ask yourself, what's the value of the time saved or the revenue that's going to get generated from this? And then you can charge 10, 20, 30% at most probably of that value. Does that make sense? That will be your floor. So for example, if your system saves a client 15 hours a week, which is about 60 a month, and they charge £100 an hour for their service, that's 6 grand saved in time monthly. So as a minimum, you'll charge 3 to 5K of that. Right. And a lot of mistakes I see newbies make is that they really do undersell themselves. They might charge 300 to 500 quid for something that's really impactful within a business. They might have already built it and they're going for loads of different businesses now, trying to sell the same automation to them for 300 to 500 quid. That's really not sustainable. You'll burn yourself out. Even the delivery side takes not a long time, but it takes up a lot of your time that you could be spending getting new business or optimizing your LinkedIn or social media strategies, whatever it is. It's taking time away to actually implement a system into a business. If you're doing that for 300 to 500 quid, something like that, you're just gonna burn out, feel like it's not going to be worth it. It's really not sustainable. And the quality of clients will change. You'll suddenly start attracting low quality clients, people that can't really afford it, and you'll never be able to build a real business, which is what this is all about. So please just don't be cheap. It ruins it for the rest of us as well. Charge what the solution is worth, what you are worth, not what your imposter syndrome tells you. And a lot of people really like the MRR model. And I completely get that, especially a lot of a few people in the community want to sort of sell a revenue model around the cold emailing system, which I completely get. It's attractive for the client and it's also attractive for us because you're getting monthly revenue in, the system works, you're going to be able to do it. But again, how scalable is that? You're going to have to really work and get 10 clients in, all paying 5 to 1,500 a month to really start earning some good money. Now, I actually have a monthly recurring model. I don't start every month on zero. I've managed to build it over the last, 9 months now or so. So I've got a steady influx of income coming in every single month. But I still charge. I do it the MSP way, how I used to do it. I charge for my time, for the setup fee, for the cost, for the engineer's time, for the software architect's time to do the build and implement it into their business. But this is tech. It might break. I was going to say it will break. It might break. Things are likely to go wrong and you'll be the first person they ring. And that's where people talk about scope creep that'll come in and you start doing more work than you're actually supposed to be doing. So you've got to make it really clear that this is a one-off fee, But this is tech. We are human. We do make mistakes. But if you're paying me monthly for my own support, then I've got a priority to you to help you to fix it, to get you back and up and running as quickly as possible. And to you, Mr. Customer, it makes a lot of sense. And to me, I can really build that up at £300 to £500 a month and build it up through every single customer that I acquire. And within a few months, I'll be starting on 5, 6, 7 grand a month anyway. So that's the model I do. I do the MSP model where it's sort of a managed service, but I don't do everything. I'm just on support for as and when you need me. Let's call it ad hoc. Now, something I'll talk about in the community, if people are sort of, again, some clients don't want to pay you monthly for stuff, they might want to do just another one-off. So you can find out how much you're worth an hour. For me, I put it at about £110 an hour. And I give them the option to buy a bank of hours. It's called call off. So they'll buy 10 hours at a minimum, so £1,100 as a one-off to use me as and when within obviously work hours between 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. I do. And again, it's a nice little one-off for me to get into the bank. Happy days. So to wrap that all up, if I was new, how would I think about pricing? Start at 1 to 2K if you're new and focus on results. With those results, double it and continue to get results. Make sure you're pricing on the outcomes and not the efforts. And above all else, make sure you're confident on the value you bring. Do not doubt your automations for a second. Once you see it firsthand, the couple clients that you get and the results that they start seeing, you'll start seeing the confidence and the value then, and your confidence will shine on every single sales call, which can only be a good thing. So if you're building automations that save time, generate revenue, or close deals, or even better, do all those things, which is what I teach in my community with the one system that I teach people to sell, then you're solving real problems, and real problems are worth real money. So if you found this helpful and want one-to-one help or want to ask any questions to me personally, then I actually run a school community called the AI Automation Blueprint, where I teach you the automations to sell, the sales skills, how to price, deliver, and actually scale these systems. And it's built for people who want to build an AI automations agency quickly and in the right way. Link in the description if you feel like that resonates with you and you want to join. If not, drop me a comment and I'll respond to a lot of my YouTube comments. Drop me a like and subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you all in the next one. Take care.